Hello, Gigglers. By the way, I've given you guys a new name. You are now the Gigglers. Welcome to Giggles and Glutes. My name is Donne, and I'm joined by the beautiful Zoe. And today we are going to be talking about a subject that has been very interesting, I think, and something that a lot of women have been wondering about, because I always get asked this question: is protein powder essential? Am I supposed to take protein powder? How do I know if I can take protein powder? And this is something that has been very popular, and I think because the influence that Instagram has, obviously, on our daily lives, every influencer in the fitness industry is doing something with protein powder, whether they're making pancakes or smoothies. Like, there's always protein involved. So we're going to answer your questions today and just sort of run through a little bit of the questions that you might have, like, why is protein important? Is it the benefits of protein? Is there a downside to protein? How do you choose which protein? Because there are many. So how do you know which one to choose? And we'll get straight into it. I think, Zoe, there must have been a time where you asked yourself this question as well. Like, which protein powder is good for me, right?
Yes, I did. But there's like a lot of trial and error, I think, before you find what actually works for you. That one that doesn't cause the bloating, because that was a big thing for me. I experienced so much bloat when I was taking like soy-based protein powder. And I think it's essential to experiment and getting to know what works best for your body. But we are so fortunate that at the moment there's so much research out there. So you don't actually really have to go through the trial and error process. And I'm sure you're going to share all that information with us today.
100%. And I was just thinking about the time where I had 3 different types of protein tubs, massive ones, and I wish that they gave you, like, at the time, a sample, like a sachet with like enough for a week, so you can see, like, is this gonna bloat me and like upset my stomach? But like you said, yes, there is all of this new science and new ways for us to find out which protein powders are good for you. So first question.
Sorry.
I just want to let me share something with you guys before we carry on with this episode. I'm currently sick. And I'm like, Zoe, how are we going to record this pod if I'm going to be coughing my lungs out every time? So she was like, we're going to pause it along the way and just make it work. So if you see her pull a funny face and you know that I just had a break, like, pull myself towards myself. Okay, carrying on. So basically the question that often gets asked is why women need protein. So we'll start with the basics so we don't overwhelm you. Protein is important for women because it plays a massive role in our muscle repair, our hormone production, and just basically our overall body function. And the reality is that a lot of women don't get enough protein in their diet. You and me both know that it's very difficult to hit your protein goal by eating chicken and meat and all the beans and legumes that you possibly can eat. It's very difficult because you get full to a certain point. So all of this, if not getting your protein goals, can eventually lead to like muscle loss, fatigue, and also a weakened immune system. So protein overall, I'd say, is very important for your body, and especially for women. And if you are a person who struggles to get your protein intake in your diet, this is where the protein powder comes into play. This is something that you will use to help you to reach your protein goal according to your macros that you are required per day. And if you are a person who doesn't struggle necessarily to get your protein intake in and you have a very healthy appetite, good for you. Not all of us have that luxury. But if you are that person, then obviously you won't need a protein powder because it's just there to basically help you to get in your intake. Because I'm pretty sure there are days where you struggle to eat, or even if you miss a meal, not on purpose obviously, but like by accident, the first thing you're going to want is, I need my protein intake.
Yes. But also in my case, I start eating later in my day just because I can't get myself to eat in the morning. You know, when you were living with me, I was basically causing you to starve because I just wasn't ready to eat yet. So because I then have a shorter eating window, it's more crunch for me to have to get all of my protein in that short hour. So for me, that's why I really love using a protein powder, because it gives me that ability to make up for the time that I lose, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is also important. We've spoken about this so many times, is how important it is to take note of your body and what is actually happening in it. Take note of whether you wake up hungry or you don't. Where during the day do you feel hungry? If you sort of have the same routine, and like you, if you are a person who is not big on breakfast and you can't sit and have a plate of food, then maybe starting your day with a protein shake is not a bad idea, or like a protein smoothie, you know. Obviously there are different types of protein that you can use, which we will get into, but I just want to talk about the benefits of protein powder. So the one that most commonly we know is muscle support and recovery. Obviously we know that protein helps with muscle growth, but it also helps with your workout recovery. And by recovery, I mean, we all experience DOMS, we all experience that muscle soreness. And your recovery time is basically how long you are sore for. So if you feel that like burning sensation or that like DOMS for one day and then the next day you're fine, that means that your recovery is good. If you are sore for 3 days after your workout, that means that your recovery is not good. So chances are that you probably need to increase your protein intake along with other things, but the topic today is protein, to help you to get over that sort of DOMS and better at recovery. And then there's also the convenience of protein powder, which we basically just spoke about. So if you are somebody who struggles to get your protein onto your plate through all your meals throughout the day, having protein powder is not a bad thing. It's not a scary supplement that people make it out to be. It's there to help you to get your protein and ultimately to help you reach your goals in your gains and just muscle in general, not only for gains, but also for longevity. And then another benefit as well is some protein powders have high volumes of calcium in them. So this is very good for your bone health, which is good for your joints as well. Again, speaking about the longevity of your body and its health. So adding this supplement in will also not only increase your muscle growth, but also good for your bone density, which overall gives you great structure and body composition. And then for the ladies, which we all love, is our skin and our hair and our nails. Protein is actually very important for collagen production in our bodies, which is something that us women, we love collagen as our best friend because we want to stay young, you know. So protein also helps with your hair growth, beautiful skin, and strong nails, which I know that this is probably what's going to sell you on protein powder. Because if K-Beauty didn't already do that, then the protein powder, whoa. Like anything, obviously, that we have in this world, too much of a good thing can be bad. So there are naturally downsides to taking protein. I don't want to freak anybody out, but I'm just going to let you know what they are. So some proteins can cause a little bit of digestive issues. Some of you might have experienced this already, which is bloating. This is the number one thing that a lot of protein powders do. Even just excess amount of protein causes a lot of bloating, gas, stomach discomfort, and a lot of this is experienced with protein powder, but it can also be experienced with just a lot of protein in a whole. This is a downside. And then there are also some protein powders that have added ingredients into them, like artificial sweeteners, fillers, or anything that might not be great for your health. Some of them have this all added into them, which we'll get into a little bit later when we talk about the different types of protein. So there is a way around it, but that is what they have as well. And then too much of protein can actually strain your kidneys, especially if you already have a pre-existing kidney condition. You might not want to resort to protein powders because of the artificial sweeteners and additives that they might have into them. So just clear this with your doctor. If you have, maybe there's an alternative supplement that you could take for protein instead of the powders. And then there's also some hormonal effects. So some protein powders, especially the soy-based ones, can affect your hormone levels actually. So just be mindful when you are introducing something new into your diet. Give yourself a 7-day window period and take note of how your body is responding to this specific thing that you have added in. Then ask yourself, is this doing me good or is this setting me back? And if it is setting you back, change it, extract it from your diet, no longer have it, because I know it's difficult. There's things that are trending and you want to be on the same train as all these other people, so you don't want to feel left out. But at the end of the day, when you are doing something that is not beneficial for you as a person, as an individual, then you shouldn't be doing it. And this counts for protein and basically any supplementation.
Yeah, and especially I feel like a lot of people will be like, oh, but I've invested into this, I spent X amount of money on this and whatever. 9 out of 10 times you can sell on your protein to people that you know. I've done it numerous times before. If a product wasn't working for me, I'd ask other people that I know that are also into fitness and training and taking protein. I just asked them, I was like, look, I've used this 2 or 3 times, but it's not working for me. Do you want to buy it at 50% of what I paid for it or whatever? And most times you can sell it on. And a lot of times the indicators was for me that I have acne prone skin. So automatically when the protein wasn't working for me, that was the first place that I could see it in my skin. I would just get breakouts like crazy. So I'm actually happy that I found Women's Best, and the quality of their protein has really been tops on my gut, on my skin. It's,
I think that your skin is like the first thing to signal you with anything, actually. Any sort of a breakout, your skin will tell you, hey, I don't like this.
Yes.
Look at what you're doing to me. And the funny thing is that it will most probably always be in your face, so that when you look in the mirror, you can see the problem.
You remember it.
It's hilarious, actually, but it's so important, and it's something that we overlook because we're like, oh, I have this breakout, I wonder where it's coming from. Like, what did you add into your diet? It's probably coming from that. And next I want to talk about how you know what the right protein powder is. How do you choose? Not all protein powders are created as equal. A lot of them are different. The companies are different. The ingredients are different. So if you are looking for a protein powder, always check the ingredients first. Make sure that the ingredients are clean, that there are minimal adhesives, maybe no artificial sweeteners, anything that's extra that is not going to benefit you. Make sure that the protein is as clean as it can come, because otherwise, obviously, like we previously mentioned, the downsides of taking protein powder definitely will affect you.
I just want to also say on making sure that it's clean, also make sure that the protein is being tested by a third party. This company should not be testing their own protein and saying, yes, 30 grams of protein in a scoop. You always want to make sure that the protein is being tested by a third party company. That way it's more likely that what is in the product is what is actually in the product.
Then there's also the different types of protein powders that you get. There's whey protein, there's plant-based protein, there's soy-based protein, vegan protein, which is basically the plant-based protein. But also just taking into account like where you are at in your diet. If you lactose intolerant, then you will obviously need a more natural protein. What I'm basically saying is that if you have any issues with your digestive system already, the type of protein that you take is really important. And then my third point, Zoe already mentioned, was the third party testing, which I won't get into. No, it's okay, don't worry. Don't worry about it. So getting into the different types of proteins, because like we mentioned, there are a few that are available to us. So the first and the most popular one is whey protein. And whey protein is derived from milk. So if you are lactose intolerant, I would not suggest that you buy whey protein, because you're going to mess your digestive up, really. This is very rich in amino acids, obviously, and it also helps with muscle growth and recovery, as all of them do. And then there's a whey concentrate. Whey concentrate has more fat and more lactose. but it is a little bit cheaper than your average protein powder. So a lot of people make the mistake of buying this protein powder because it is more affordable, but then they don't take into account that there's a lot more lactose in this protein.
Yeah.
So as a result, they end up bloating, they end up having like very weird stomach issues. But again, if you are not lactose intolerant, then whey concentrate would be great for you as well. And then there's also whey isolate. So whey isolate is the one that is very low in lactose. I read something once that said that a lot of women, if not all, and I stand corrected when I say this, are actually born lactose intolerant. And this thing continued to say cows don't drink milk because they produce milk. And so do women. Women also produce milk. So naturally we should not consume it, because that is what, like, the science. I don't want to get too deep into
That's an interesting thing that we should definitely look at.
We should look at it, because so many women respond a specific way, and more commonly to any dairy products. We all respond the same to cheese. We all respond the same to like full cream fat milk and yogurt. So that's why Greek yogurt is very popular, because a lot of women's gut health are good with Greek yogurt and low-fat cheese and stuff like that. So I think this is where it all started, was that people were paying attention to this. The reason why I said this was because whey isolate is the most commonly used protein powder amongst women. And this is obviously why, because it's low in lactose. And then there's whey hydrolysate, which is pre-digestive and it's faster to absorb. So this one, it works fast, it's easy, works with your body. So you can also use this one. I'm not actually sure about the lactose levels in this one. I probably should have done a little bit more research on it. But if it's easy for your body to digest, I can assume that the lactose in there isn't really high.
The bloating and the intolerance is probably even less than in the isolate.
And then other sources of protein, you get like collagen protein, which is basically your collagen powder and protein powder that's like mixed in one. So this is a double whammy, good for your skin, good for your hair, good for your nails, your bones, your joints, muscle recovery, fatigue, all of those things. Great.
But it's not the complete protein though. That's very important to remember.
Yes. And then there's also the egg white proteins that we could use. If you want to avoid protein powders completely, then like egg whites is a great thing to supplement into your diet. That is basically it with the protein powders. And then obviously if you are not by means to afford protein powders, because they can be quite expensive, especially when you are wanting to buy a good quality protein powder that can benefit you. You don't have to have the protein powder. There are many other things that you can substitute into your diet, like brown rice, seeds, spinach, all of those things. I have a massive list which we could probably add in the description below for you guys if you want to add it into your diet. Protein powder isn't the answer, but it also is the answer. But don't feel obligated to add it into your diet if you can't. So,
protein powders are for convenience, and most of us use it for convenience. So also don't feel stressed that you have to have it, where there are so many foods that are good sources of whole proteins, which is what we all basically want.
Yeah, I think that's also important to remember.
How much protein is recommended for women?
New science has updated the protein intake for women. This is a individual that is physically active, somebody that is eating well, not having this like protein intake and having McDonald's and all of those things, but eating well, like the perfect fit person, for example. But basically females are 2.2 grams of protein per kg of body weight is what you are required. So if you, for example, weigh 60, then your protein intake for the day should be roughly around 120 to 130 grams per day. So in breakfast, in your snack, in your lunch, in your dinner. It's always easy to divide them up like that in your meal, because you're not just going to eat all of them in one go. You'll put yourself in comatose. If you are a person that plans your meals ahead of time, sit down and have a look at where you can put the majority of your protein in for the meals throughout the day. And a hack, that's something that I always tell my clients to do, is to maximize whenever they are hungry.
Yeah.
If you wake up hungry like me, it takes about 30 to 40 minutes for me to start to feel like, okay, I need to eat. I maximize my protein in the morning because I know that throughout the day, my appetite goes like this. And by dinner time, I'm not very hungry generally. So my dinner is always tiny, but my breakfast is massive. I pack the protein in there because that's where I am hungry the most. So if you are hungry around lunchtime, then do that. Take note of where you are at and then just put all the protein, not like all, but like most of it into that specific meal.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Thanks.
Yeah. And also for older women, it helps support them for osteoporosis and stuff like that. So don't feel the protein is just there for the fitness or the exercise part to it. We all need protein in just our everyday function. It's only that when you are exercising and being active, then you require more protein than what a non-active or sedentary person or woman needs, depending on your goals or depending on how much you work out and stuff. There's different recommendations. So also check out what the recommendations are and then apply that to whatever you are weighing and then work out how much protein you actually need to maintain healthy bodily functions.
Thank you for saying that. I think it's important that people always just think that if you are in the fitness industry and if you are active, then all these healthy lifestyle hacks and things only apply to those people, but they don't. They apply to everybody. And that's what Zoe and I are here to do, is to share the love and knowledge that we have, because ultimately we want everybody to live a good, sustainable and long, healthy life, whether you're in the gym or not. So what is on your plate matters. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us in this episode. We really hope that you were able to take something from this and that we could teach you and answer a lot of the questions that you might have had. If you have any further questions, please don't be scared to leave us a comment in our comment section below, and then also and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate your support.
Thank you.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.